Aha.
Aha!
Hey, Ben, how are you, sir?
Howdy do, Matt. Doing good?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, like I said in my introduction, you are the bass player for Harry and The Hootenannies.
That's correct. At least.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so so we'll go ahead and get started here, Ben.
Okay.
How long have you been playing bass?
I've been playing bass since middle school. And oftentimes when people reach the age of 29 and they just kind of stop counting after that because they don't want to keep up with those numbers, they get more and more
Absolutely.
distressing.
Yes, they do.
I'm just gonna say I've been playing bass for like 15 years, because if I said the real number, I'd feel like I should be a little bit better than I am by now. So yeah, let's just go with 15.
That'll work.
Yeah,
That'll
man.
work.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as your journey as a bass player, did you take lessons, or are you mostly self-taught, or how did all that go?
Okay. Um, when I got the bass, I think the extent of bass lessons for the majority of my time on the instrument consisted of the VHS that came with my first bass, that like Ibanez Geo that most people start on. I learned the blues scale and I learned like the minor pentatonic scale, and I was self-taught from there.
The good old VHS. You gotta
Yeah,
love
man. Yeah,
it.
but I was simultaneously learning French horn at the time. I was a horn player from middle school to my first year of college, and so I was getting music theory trickled in, at school. And so I wasn't just going in completely blind. I had some sort of guiding force through the band program.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so aside from bass and apparently French horn, do you play any
Mhm.
other instruments?
Yes. Also, hi, Mom. Uh, she just logged in. Good to see her. Yeah, ukulele, trumpet. I play guitar. I play kazoo. Let's see. I play this this gourd that makes thunder noises when you rattle it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't know if you heard that.
That is
Um,
that is unique.
yeah. I I don't know. I picked up the fretless bass, and at one point until recently, I owned an upright. So I was trying to learn all the variety of basses, possible. Can't think of anything off the. Oh, ocarina. Play the ocarina. Just this and that. Oh,
Nice.
and piano and drums. Okay, sorry, it took me a second to get all that,
So
but
the better question, Ben, would be what don't you
what don't I
play?
play? Uh, I don't play reed instruments. I have yet to like sit down with a saxophone or like a clarinet and try to get one of those. The reed is very intimidating to me. I like brass mouthpieces and strings.
Gotcha. My wife was actually a saxophone player in high school, so uh,
Super cool.
yeah, absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
one of the coolest instruments. I wanted to play sax when I joined the band program because my older brother uh, played sax in the band, and I thought that was just the coolest thing. But the forces that be,
Yeah,
guided me towards the horn, and it was history.
you got voluntold.
I got voluntold. Yeah, my band director was like, "You have the lips of a horn player. Also, I play horn, and so does my wife. So you're gonna play too." And it was actually a really good choice for me. I had a blast.
Well, that's awesome. So
Yeah, yeah.
so tell me about your current gear and setup for your bass. I guess playing live and just playing around the house or whatever.
Okay. I have my Lakeland 5 string here. I'm just gonna have to pan it so that you can get an idea of what it looks like.
Very nice.
Um, yeah, boom. There you go. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's like a charcoal green. It changes color in the light. Love it. It's treated me really well. Jazz bass. So That's my main gigging bass. I use it in Harry and The Hootenannies. I use it in Emerald Empire, which is the wedding and event band that I play in. And then I use it for Lola Grace and the Collective, which is my other cover gigging band. That low B string really helps play a lot of, Stevie Wonder tunes and like soul tunes that go a little lower. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love a four string because it's not as cumbersome and you're not constantly muting that low B. But this has been my mainstay just because it's the most convenient thing for me to work with. It's my working bass.
Well, so you sort of actually got into the next question that I have, and that is, do you have an actual preference between a four string and a five string, or even greater number of
Hmm.
string bass?
I've got them all. Well, at least, I've had 4 through 6 string
Mm-hmm.
basses. I don't have a 7 string bass. Maybe one day. Uh, my preference is actually four. I love 4 string basses because they're just so, it's like when you take off that low B string, you just got all this extra dexterity to spare, it's like your fingers aren't as
Right,
working as hard. And I enjoy that. It's kind of like a treat when I get to just play a 4 string, honestly.
right.
But five,
I've
yeah, five is
got
just good for work.
yeah, I've got both a four string and a five string, and I like the five string for, like you were saying, the versatility, being able to go lower. But there is
Mhm.
something to be said about just a good old four string.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, they say, most bassists don't really need to use anything but the E and A string anyway. It's like
Right.
I could have a 2 string bass and have a
Yep.
blast. So,
Absolutely.
got to try
Absolutely.
that soon,
So,
actually. Yeah.
musicians tend to collect gear. Um,
Yes, they do.
do do you have anything really unique in your collection that you'd like to talk about?
Um, sure. Let's see. I showed you the Thunder Gourd. That
Yes, you
was
did.
kind of a unique thing. Let's see. I have a couple ocarinas actually
Hmm.
that my girlfriend provided me. She's an ocarina player, and we're both gamers. And if you know anything about The Legend of Zelda, Link from the game famously plays one of these.
Oh, very
And so,
cool.
yeah, so this is similar to the thing he plays. I'm out of practice, so don't expect like me to whip out through the fire and flames or anything on this thing.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, it's just a fun to play at stoplights in your car when you
Oh,
got
yeah.
nothing to do, man. Just, whistle a tune real quick and you're off to the races.
That is
That's
really
one of my
neat.
favorites. Yeah. Have you ever
Okay.
played a wind
I
instrument like this?
I have not. No.
Okay.
No. I'm pretty much a stringed instrument guy
Right.
with a little bit of keyboard messing around with over the years.
Right.
But
Right. I'm
so
trying to learn keyboard right now, just FYI. I'm taking piano lessons because I've waited till I'm like 33 to finally try. And I've made some progress. I'm like really proud of the little bit I could do on the piano now. So yeah, it's a good thing to learn.
oh, you know, he who dies with the most knowledge and the most skills wins.
Yeah, I suppose so. Suppose so.
So
Well, I'm gonna die from trying to learn this piano. It's kicking my butt.
so who are some of your personal musical influences?
Uh, First things first. Um, the first musician I ever remember listening to was Weird Al. You know Weird Al, right?
Ah, oh yes, I'm
Okay,
very familiar with
Miss
Weird Al.
Mr. Alfred Yankovic. He is easily my most my biggest influence in music. Not only because it's the first thing I remember ever listening to in my life and like singing along with every word of his
Oh
albums, but
yeah, the
um
guy
the
is a
fact
genius.
he's so great, man. And he's such a
Yeah.
nice guy.
Hmm.
You know how like sometimes as you get older in life, you hear about your idols like living secret lives and like getting into trouble, and you realize they're not
Right.
the person you wanted them to be. Weird
Right.
Al, I'll put my money on it till his dying day. I don't think we'll ever hear anything bad about Weird Al.
No, no,
Yeah,
they say don't meet your heroes,
exactly.
but I think I tend to agree. I think Al is probably just a pretty normal dude.
I know. Yeah, despite how weird he is.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, but my point being, he parodies everything.
right,
So when you listen to one of his albums, you've got like, you know, Michael Jackson, in there, and you've got Nine Inch Nails, and you've got country tunes, and like he just and polka. Obviously, it's like I learned
right.
polka from Al. So yeah, just listening to his music, it exposes you to a wide variety of things. And as a kid, that got me really interested in all kinds of sounds. I didn't get locked into one path, real early.
Right,
So he
right.
spread it around.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I love the accordion. So,
so who are some of your favorite bass players?
okay. Um, well, it started with Victor Wooten.
Hmm.
I heard Bella Fleck and the Flecktones live art album when I was in, I guess, late middle school or early high school, and his solo on a song called Sinister Minister just changed my life. It was one of the most virtuosic bass guitar things I'd ever heard, and I was kind of hooked. And I love the sound of banjo too because of Bella, so it was exciting to listen to them. Victor Wooten, every bassist is going to name him at some point, I think. Chris Squire
Hmm.
from Yes.
From Yes, yeah,
Yeah. What else do you got to say about that? He's a monster. He's a monster player.
absolutely.
Um, yeah. Someday I'll own a Rickenbacker. Someday, like he had.
The time
What
will
else?
come.
Yes, yes, it will come. When the funds
Yes.
come, so will the Rickenbacker. Jaco Pastorius, just a,
Hmm.
monster fretless guy.
Right.
I love his sounds. I learned Portrait of Tracy in high school and, got those harmonics down because of him. And Les Claypool from
Oh,
Primus.
yes.
Uh, yeah, which I've had the pleasure of seeing him a couple times live now with my Hootenanny buds.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, I can hear a lot of influences in Hootenanny music, and
Right.
and I'll be discussing that with you shortly.
Excellent.
But before this section ends,
Okay.
what was the very first concert you went to as a fan?
Well, as a band?
No, as a fan.
Oh, as a fan. Oh, okay. Weird Al.
Weird Al.
Yeah, yeah. Got to see him live. Oh man, when he did I'm Fat, when he did his Michael Jackson thing of
Hmm.
Fat, he came out in the fat suit,
Yeah,
after a quick costume change and just did it right.
I bet
All about the
that was
penniums.
amazing. Yeah,
Oh, that was so cool live. Man, those are good times. So yeah,
absolutely.
that was my first concert.
So, away from music,
Hmm.
what are some of your hobbies and interests?
Well, I like to take long bike rides through the woods. I love hiking. I paint a little bit.
Hmm.
I've been doodling with like pen and ink style drawings since forever. I've always loved to draw. Like my first memory of drawing was my brother recorded a marathon of Ren and Stimpy
Hmm.
on a VHS, back
Oh,
in the day. And I remember
yeah.
I paused the screen with Ren or with Stimpy on it and just put a piece of paper over the TV and traced them. And yeah, never stopped drawing from there.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually seen some of your art on your other Instagram, Eyeball Head.
Eyeball Head, yeah,
Yeah,
which is the name of the character that I came up with. It's like my art It's like my,
Your
yeah, alter ego in art.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you've really got some unique pieces on there. So that was a lot of fun to check out.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, man. I love doodling.
okay, so moving on now to Harry and the Hootenannies.
Hmm.
Tell me about the band. You know, how long have you guys been together? How did the band form? That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, first of all, I gotta show I am repping the hoots. Okay. So I never go far without my hootenanny swag, and neither should you. Uh, okay. So, let's see. What was I saying? Hootenannies. What was the question? Sorry.
Um, but basically, you know, how long have you guys been together? How did the band form? That
Okay.
kind of thing.
Okay. Right. We've been together. I think the math comes out to about 7 years.
Hmm.
We met in early college, and let's see. I met Nick, which we endearingly call him Tickles. That's our drummer,
Okay.
who's also my roommate. He's probably in the house somewhere right now downstairs. I met him in uh, a documentary class. So it was like a film documentary class where we had to study them and also like make one at the end. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and I'm not shy about sharing the fact that Nick is the reason I graduated from college. Because, or at least when I did, because I remember being in a real pinch on like my final project. I had kind of just dropped the ball when it came to like getting it done and ready. And so when when the time came to turn everything in, he may have allowed me to tack my name on the credits of his project, and we both I got past the finish line by the skin of my teeth. Funny story. I don't think anyone's going to redact my diploma by me saying this, so
Not
let's
at
just get it out there.
not at this
Yeah,
point.
it's too late.
I mean, you know,
It's too late. They passed
the
it to me.
statute of limitations has run out.
Yeah. And also he worked at the cafe under where I lived at the time at Cornell Arms. He worked at Carolina Cafe. Harry, I met on a film shoot. Me and my friends in another videography class that I was taking were trying to shoot at this place, on campus. And there was this kid in a wheelchair, if I'm not mistaken, at the time, because Harry got in a wreck way back in 2011, and he was still healing from it when I met him. And so this kid was just sitting by a bench, and we had to film there, and we had to ask him nicely to kind of scoot over so we could get out of the shot. And we just talked, during the whole shooting experience, and found out we had tons in common. And like, he wound up coming to my apartment that night. We played mandolin together, and yeah, the rest is history. Eventually, I moved in with the two of them, and that's how we became a band.
So this week, in preparation for this talk with you, I've been going down the Hootenanny rabbit hole and really enjoyed the music that I found on Spotify.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you
you.
know, I'm hearing what appear to me to be some influences. I'm hearing like musically, I'm hearing a lot of early pre-major label REM. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I'm I'm hearing a lot of They Might Be Giants.
Yes.
I'm hearing Primus. Uh,
Okay.
you
Can I go
know,
back to REM real quick?
oh, absolutely.
Is that mostly to do with the heavy mandolin presence?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would actually like to play a REM cover at some point soon, but yeah, you're right on with that. You said They Might Be Giants. Literally, the Hootenannies, we are doing double duty as a They Might Be Giants tribute act as well
Really?
currently. Yeah, yeah, we've got like eight or nine songs just ready to go. I'm on guitar now, Harry's on keys, and Nick's still on the drums, and yeah, it's like a whole other thing we do. So good call
Very
there.
cool. Yeah, I got turned on to They Might Be Giants back in my college days, and back then
Mm,
they actually had a phone number that you could call and hear the song of the day,
yeah.
which
Dial a
was
song.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a pretty neat little thing that they were doing for a while
I wish
there.
I could have participated in that. Do you remember what your first They Might Be Giants song was that you ever heard?
Um, Little Birdhouse in Your Soul, I believe
Nice.
was the first one I heard,
Okay.
and then it just kind of went from there. But
Okay. Mine was Particle Man,
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
so anyway, we've kind of covered this already, but do you? I mean, obviously, you do play in some other bands and side projects.
Yes.
Um, so and is Harry and the Hootenannies or any of your other projects anything approaching a full-time thing? If not, tell about your day job.
Okay. All of the bands that I play in culminates to just a bunch of part-time jobs.
Gotcha.
Harry and the Hootenannies, we have regular rehearsal, semi-regular gigs, by no means a full-time job. We make some cash here and there doing that. My biggest money-making endeavor is the Emerald Empire
Hmm.
band, which is the wedding event band that I spoke of earlier.
Right.
That one's fun. Just I get to play a bunch of pop dance hits, for newlyweds and like people who are just down to party, and that's a decently paying gig. Um, I play every other Thursday with a band called Lola Grace and the Collective, and
Hmm.
we also do a little bit more, low key pop tunes and just stuff you hear in a lounge. It's basically like piano bar music, with a little bit more rock infused into it. Um, I play in a band called Ted Shed, which is just this guy named Ted Ballou, his two sons, Ellery and Noah. Fantastic drummer, fantastic keyboardist, respectively. And it's like the music he wrote back in the 70s to currently, that just never got to see the light of day outside of him just playing it on the acoustic guitar. And really, they all have these beautiful orchestrations that we're fleshing out and, working our butts off, making an awesome recording of them all. And so, kind of documenting his musical catalog, making it come to life.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
I guess one final question about Harry and the
sure.
Hootenannies. Like I said, I've gone down the rabbit hole this week and really dig a lot of the
Hmm.
songs. And I'm just curious about the songwriting process.
Right.
Is somebody in the band the primary songwriter, or is it a collaborative type of thing, or
Mhm.
how does that go?
Yeah, I would say Harry is predominantly the main songwriter. He'll come with lyrics and usually a riff or two. And, I assume most bands work this way. I'm not that strong of a lyricist. I
Hmm.
really love working on instrumentals. And
Hmm.
that's what, like my bread and butter. He comes in with a riff and some lyrics and Nick and I just kind of fill in the gaps, and throw whatever we can at him and see what sticks. So it's kind of like that.
Gotcha.
I'm
Gotcha.
like, I'm working on my solo project stuff now. I'm trying to work on my lyricism and it's like slowly coming along, but I don't consider myself a lyricist, but I really enjoy what he produces. Because most of the lyrics are generally funny, heartfelt, and like somewhat autobiographical, like based on experience.
Hmm.
And the mixture of all of that, comedy, poignancy, I feel like that kind of encapsulates what we're trying to go for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've really had a lot of fun experiencing y'all's music this week. So it's been a real blast.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I'm glad you dug it.
Yeah,
That means a lot to me, man.
absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. So, what is the most interesting experience that you've had playing live?
The most interesting experience. Um, I I guess like universally what other people would find interesting. Uh, maybe we opened up for Corey Feldman. Do you know the name?
Oh yeah.
Corey Feldman? Okay.
Yes, I know Corey Feldman.
Okay. So we opened up for him and his band at the Spinning Jenny in Greenville. And that was really interesting.
I bet.
It was like he's famous. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know how much that has to do with this, but they there was like some trouble getting their show ready. They told the people at the venue that they had a projector, and then the venue didn't provide one. But then they told them like very close to before the show, oh sorry, we actually don't have a projector. And so like everyone's running around to try to like get this issue fixed because the projector is like the big part of, their aesthetic. And meanwhile, the sound guys are like, sound check is getting delayed, and they're, taking out their ire, behind the soundboard, and Harry and the Hootenannies are just kind of like, just saying nice things to them, and keeping them calm, and, making sure that they still like us, but they can be mad at this band, but we're not going to do them dirty like that. And it was really great. We had an awesome show. Some people said they enjoyed us more than Corey Feldman's band. I took that as like a supreme compliment. They were good. Um, and the rest of the band, I never met Corey, by the way, but
Hmm.
I did meet every other member of the band, and they were all super sweet, like just sweethearts, They were like super open to sharing their life story, and I looked like the bassist. Like we looked like each other and were dressed like each other that night. It was kind of
Oh wow,
strange.
doppelgangers.
Yeah, he was my doppelganger. I was his. I guess I came second, and we got a picture together. It was great.
So
So
in
yeah.
my wife's kind of moderating the chat, and
Okay.
she brought me a note from looks like Harvey Barbswell saying
That's my boy.
saying that you guys have been together 8 years in March. So
Okay, 8, yes.
yeah.
And I also saw that Harry corrected me in the chat that when we met, he was on crutches, not a wheelchair. So
Ah,
I caught that. I appreciate the correction. I don't want to get anything wrong on the record.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So so I know you guys are based in the Columbia, South Carolina area.
Mhm.
Is that area your hometown, or where are you from?
Basically, it's my hometown now. I've been here for like 15 years.
Gotcha.
Never thought I'd be here this long. I came to Columbia from Charleston, which is my real hometown, um, in 2009. And I thought I would just complete school and just move on. And I did not. I found, my adopted family here. I found all of my work connections and my musical friends. And I just kept gaining momentum here. So here I am still. And
Yes.
I'm in the St. Andrews area right now. So
Well, last week when I was talking with Sean Kowalski, he was
okay.
saying that he just loves the music scene in Columbia. He said it's a really vibrant scene, and
Yeah.
it sounds like a lot of fun.
There are some really, really strong musicians down in Charleston. Most of my events and weddings that I play are in the Charleston area, and that company works by just drawing from a pool of musicians. You just kind of send an email and see who can do it, and whoever agrees, they show up and they play together. Even if they've never met each other.
Got
And a lot of these cats are from Charleston, and man, they are just monster players that are like a real honor and a joy to play with.
well, very cool.
Yeah, strong scene.
What would you say is your favorite thing about Columbia?
Uh, Probably a Congaree Forest. I
Okay.
I adore this place. uh, I go there when I need peace, when I need to reset. I just need to get some open air, some exercise, go meditate, just be away. Um, that's actually that's an aspect that I love very dearly, and I try to bring friends there whenever I can because it's just. Have you been there? Have you been to the Congaree Forest
I have not
in this area?
actually.
Oh man,
No, I
it's like home to some of the biggest trees in America.
really.
The hiking is beautiful. You go through swamplands and grasslands, and you can like kayak the rivers, and there's so much. Um, but the other answer to that question is that I I have found my community here.
Hmm.
There's so many people that I know and love now, and I'm finding that they're all interconnected.
Yeah.
It's a small city. So, I love the people I have met along the way, because, the only reason I'm here doing this with you is because, of people looking out for other people. And it was really cool, of Sean to recommend me for this. I really thank him for that. Yeah, good community. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, Ben, if you could give any advice now to your younger self, what would it be?
man. Is this the closing statement?
No, no, no.
Okay.
There's a few more things.
Okay, because I was like, man, I've got to make this good. This sounds like really important. Um, well, okay, my younger self. Uh, I did pretty good, like with my choices, leading to where I am now. Like, I don't say I have any super big regrets. So I'm not going to say like, don't do that or like, don't meet this person or something. I grew from every experience that I had. Uh, don't smoke and drink. Like I kind of picked up smoking along the way,
Hmm.
temporarily, and it was just such a bad idea. And like what am I stopped smoking the 19th of this past month, and it was so hard to stop.
Hmm.
So it's just like don't dabble in that. It was fun for a little bit, and then it became a problem. So try not to get hooked on substances.
Right.
That's probably something
Right.
I would tell my younger self. It's like it was just a really stupid thing to do that like everyone knows, but they do it anyway. So
Well,
have you ever had to kick something? You know?
not really. I mean,
Good.
thankfully, I've worked in places where years and years ago, I used to be a paramedic,
Okay.
and the majority of my coworkers were smokers,
Yeah, a high
and
stress job, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and thankfully, I never picked it up. But
Good.
congratulations to you for making efforts to put it down.
Thank you. It's an occupational hazard as a musician.
Oh yeah,
Most of your most of your bandmates are gonna go before the set, after the set, and just go have one.
right,
It's like it's how we socialize,
right.
and it's a broken system. It's a bad idea. You got to be. Sometimes it's hard to be comfortable with nothing and just present yourself, to other people. In these social situations, it's just a bad crutch. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, do you have any suggestions for any other up and coming bands to check out or potentially to reach out to for another in this series of bass player interviews?
Okay. Um, I've been thinking about the bass uh, player recommendations. Um, so I would be interested to hear what a few bassists actually have to say. I have a friend, Morgan Johnson. He's been a really good buddy of mine. He filled in for me on bass in the Hootenannies when I broke my arm.
Oh wow!
And I couldn't play. I have these lovely little memories on my elbow here.
How did you do
I
that? What's the story with the elbow?
I fell off of the
Oh,
skimboard
oh,
at the beach. Yeah, I was having a great time with we were on the annual Hootenanny beach trip, and I was just skimboarding at the ocean, doing something that I had done millions of times before as a kid. And I guess I've taken a little bit too much time off, and I fell. And I didn't fall nicely. Like I'm usually pretty good at like tucking and rolling and throwing a shoulder down. I did a lot of taekwondo when I was a kid, so we learned
hmm.
to fall. Well, apparently I got a little out of practice, and I fell on my outstretched arm, and it just hyperextended my elbow and just I broke it, I fractured it, I tore a tendon. They called it the terrible triad.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and when the doctor came into the room, I asked him to please. Well, he told me, well, that's what we called it 30 years ago. We've actually gotten a lot better at fixing it now. And I'm like, well, can you please not lead with the terrible triad? Can we call it like the tricky triad, you know? Cause I was like, oh my gosh, this is never going to get better. But, luckily for me, the technology we have, the know-how and the skill of the doctors got me back to about 95% of what I was before the fall.
Well,
So.
that's a blessing.
It really is. It
Absolutely.
really is. I
Absolutely.
feel incredibly lucky. But yeah. So I don't know. I'd recommend Morgan Johnson. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
I will. I'll talk to you
yeah. I'll
afterward,
get you
and
connected.
okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're getting toward the end of this now, and so when I did the interview with Sean, one of the
Okay.
last things that we did is I asked him to pose a question for the next person to be interviewed, and
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you as well. But
Okay.
anyway, so Sean's question is, do you prefer playing fingerstyle or with a pick, and why?
Right. Uh, Fingerstyle. 100%. I prefer fingerstyle. How? Well, before I get to however. Most of my my bass, idols were
Hmm.
fingerstyle players, Victor Wooten, Jaco Pastorius,
Right.
Primus. Um, I, I like
Hmm.
slapping, I like the slapping and popping. I like the rhythms that you can get, when you use, your two fingers or your thumbs. It's just, I grew up listening to a lot of funk and soul
Hmm.
and, James Jamerson used a pick as well, I think, every now and then, but, generally I think funk and soul it lends itself to fingerstyle playing. And
Right.
so, I got
Right.
pretty proficient at that. However, over time, I've really learned to appreciate people who play with pick well. I think it creates an awesome, gritty, aggressive tone with that, scrapey attack, and you can play, different rhythms, different styles. I was talking to a guy at a shop the other day. He was a bassist and he was a metal bassist,
Hmm.
and like metal is the one genre. I mean, metal is a genre that I
Yeah.
am deficient in. I need to work on that. And I really respect people who can just really shred it up with a pick on
Oh,
bass. I think that's so
absolutely.
cool.
And I mean, with most metal bass, it's kind of all pick all the time. But
Yeah. And so lots of respect for that because that's something that I need to work on really bad.
well, it's kind of funny, I was telling you, I'm a converted guitar player,
Ah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so because of that, I've really been struggling to figure out fingerstyle. I'm mostly a
Ah,
pick player,
okay, yeah.
but
Okay.
I'm working on incorporating fingerstyle. But I'm so used to having a pick that
Uh,
I'm having some difficulty, I guess, getting to that
uh,
point, but I'm
uh,
working on it. So, um,
that's funny. Yeah. I mean, it's just where you come from. If that VHS that I got with my first bass, if the
hmm
instructional video had a guy using a pick, it might have completely changed my
yeah,
trajectory. But he was a
who
finger style
knows?
guy, yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
doing finger.
So, so anyway, the final thing here, Ben, will be,
Yeah,
since this is a series, what is a question you would like to pose to the next person being interviewed?
right. Um, what is something that you had to unlearn through your musical journey?
Ah,
Um, like for example, for me, I had to learn how to play with less tension. Um, I used to allow myself to play squeezing the neck a little harder than I should, sometimes a lot harder than I
hmm
should. I put myself in situations where maybe my amp wasn't loud enough, and instead of turning up my amp, I would dig into the strings harder. And there were multiple occasions where I would play a show, and by the second song of like 10 to 15, I was like out of gas, my fingers were getting cramped up, and, at, at one point, I was a Domino's delivery driver. At some point when I was gigging, I was delivering pizza, I was overworking my wrists, especially my
Hmm.
fretting wrist. So like driving would kind of use that. Balancing a bunch of pizzas all day, on here would irritate it. And then when I'd go
Right.
home and I would shed, that would irritate it. And then I'd go perform and I'd really put in too much strength into the grip. It was deteriorating my wrist, and to the point that I developed tendonitis, and I had to step away from the bass for like a week or like 10 days straight, just like no playing. Um, and when I came back to it, I had to really reconsider, how am I gripping the neck and how much tension do I need before it's excessive, to fret these notes. And same with the
Right.
plucking hand. So I had to relearn how to play with ease, and shed off the tension.
Well, it's funny, talking about tendonitis in the
Yeah.
wrist. About a I've been playing bass now for about 4 years, and about a year or so into my journey, I developed pain in the wrist on my fretting hand.
Yep.
And so, I went through some physical therapy, and that really didn't help. And I mean, it was painful to the point where honestly, I just couldn't play.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a condition called de Quervain's tendonitis, which is basically inflammation of the tendon that runs along the ridge from the thumb down the side of the wrist.
Okay.
And so I ended up having surgery on it.
Hmm.
And the thing that was interesting is when they did the surgery, they discovered that I had an extra tendon in there that was crowding the compartment
Wow.
and was leading, and that led to the whole issue. I had an
Okay.
undocumented feature,
Wow.
So
Usually
yeah,
having a spare isn't a bad thing. In this
right.
case,
But
it
in
was.
this case, it
Wow.
was, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
So did you have to get it removed, by the way?
yeah,
Like,
they removed the second
okay.
tendon, and
Okay.
after about I guess about 3 weeks of wearing a brace after the surgery, I was off to the races. So,
Wow.
and it's
You
been
were you were
bothering
more
me ever
man than
since.
everyone else.
I
Yeah, you were more man than
guess
most. They had to cut you back down to normal size.
apparently.
That's cool, man.
Um,
How did you recover? Is it okay now?
yeah. I've not had a moment's problem with it since the surgery. So
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that, man.
yeah,
As a
yeah, me
as a
too.
guy who had to survive a surgery, it's nice to hear a success story, because it's a sad thing
Absolutely.
to lose your ability. So,
Right, right. And my wife actually has a question.
okay.
As far as playing the fingerstyle
Right.
bass, she wants to know about finger calluses potentially caused by that style.
Okay.
Would you say that's an issue?
I'd say they're almost guaranteed. Is she worried about developing calluses?
Um, Well, I mean, I've got calluses on my fretting hand. She was
Uh-huh.
just
Uh-huh.
curious if fingerstyle causes callus developments on the fingerstyle hand.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. When you're new to it, you'll get
yeah,
them. I'd say you might be able to work around it. Like, let's say for bass, you could get flat wound strings.
yeah.
You could choose a style of music that doesn't involve you digging in really hard, and
Right.
you probably get around it. But I'd say little calluses are a good thing. I like
Oh,
having mine.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't have a problem with them. I don't think she does either.
yeah.
It was more of a curiosity thing than anything else.
And in all honesty, like if you look at my fingers, there's no like lump. It's not
Right.
ugly or anything. It's actually, they're just tougher. You can't
Yeah.
even really see it, and So they're still smooth. They're still smooth to the touch. So you don't have to worry about that.
Nice,
But they're
nice.
strong.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Hmm.
So I guess beyond your Instagram, do you
Yeah.
have any other social media presence that you'd like to tell the world about?
Uh, to be honest, no. I kind of suck at social media and I try to keep it to a bare minimum because I can barely maintain what I have now. It's really just my eyeball head art account
Hmm.
and my musical account, Big Old Booty Slapper. So
Yeah,
yeah, I got a Facebook. I don't really do stuff on there though. I have a
right.
there's the Harry and the Hootenannies Facebook page that obviously I want everyone to know about, and then the gigging band that I'm in now, the Lola Grace and the Collective. There's also a Facebook page for that. So
Okay. Does Lola Grace and the Collective have an Instagram or?
yes, they do. They do.
Okay. Okay.
And if you ask me what it is, I won't be able to spout it out to you. But maybe we can put it in the description at the bottom after this.
That'll work. That'll work.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Oh, and there's minimum wage is also the They Might Be Giants tribute band that the Harry and the Hootenannies also double as minimum
minimum
wage.
wage.
So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
good stuff. Good
You
stuff.
know the one.
Oh yes, I do.
Hmm.
I do. I do. Um,
Yeah.
well, Ben, this has been an
Yes, sir.
absolute pleasure. I've
Likewise.
really enjoyed this. And do you have any I guess upcoming performances or anything that you'd like to hype? Any
Yeah.
shows coming up?
Tomorrow, Harry and the Hootenannies playing Art Bar. I think it's like an $8 cover charge. Harry, check it in the chat. But yeah, so we're playing tomorrow at Art Bar. So I'd love to see some people out there. So we can
Well,
play our
I'm
weird music.
I'm seeing in the chat right now that your mom and dad love you.
I see that too. I uh I know this and I love this. I'm glad I can depend on that all the time. I know they do. So, and I love them too. It's
It's
wonderful.
a beautiful thing.
And I love I love Aunt Tina too. She's been here the whole time too. So hi Aunt Tina. But yeah, Matt, this has been such an honor and a privilege to be a part of this. I really appreciate the time you've given me and this
Oh,
platform. It's
absolutely.
awesome.
Um, uh, it's been nice. It's really just felt like a conversation, which is the I guess the motif that I'm going for with this.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'll be downloading this and doing a little bit of editing, and it'll
Hmm.
be going up on YouTube, and there'll be some excerpts on TikTok and Twitter and some other places. And then
Yeah.
I'll be downloading the audio and putting that together into a podcast.
All right.
I'll send you all the information as to where everything is once it's there. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Matt, you've been a really good host for me. This has felt like a regular just conversation. It's been really fun, man. You made me feel really important and seen.
well,
So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it, and
Yeah.
again, thanks for the time, and you have a great rest of your night and a great performance tomorrow night.
Ah, thank you. Yes, I will make sure to break a leg for sure. So thank you, Matt.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, next
Yep.
time.